This episode will definitely not be safe for work. It won't be safe for children. It won't be safe for scholars
mortals, really.
going through the books and trying to comprehend infinity.
Yeah, so if you're a historian who comprehends infinity, then you can talk to us, but we won't understand. And with that, let's get started with a Beta Test Humans production of Best Intentions. Hi, everybody. So this week, obviously, we have a little bit of something different for you. We're going to be playing through a game called Call of Cthulhu. It's a game that works, it's a role-playing game, kind of like D&D, but it operates a little bit differently. You do have your standard stats, such as strength and constitution, dexterity, but there's some other stuff in here, like how big you are. Your move rate is a little bit different. Your power and education are all different. There's some magic points, so you do have a magic pool if you were like a magic user or something like that. Sanity is a huge issue in this game. If you lose your sanity, then you're gonna go bonkers, and that's just as safe. That's just as bad as any death. Luck is kind of an important thing as well that can help boost some of your rolls. But the biggest difference here is that we're going to be using different skills that are more provocative of a closer to modern time and closer to reality viewpoint. We have investigator skills such as
Anthropology.
Archaeology, anthropology, accounting, psychology. My character's going to have like a pilot skill. Things like that are what this game kind of consists of. And you're rolling D100s trying to get under your skills score rather than over. And so, yeah, that's sort of what we have for you today. So do you guys want to talk about your characters? I know Tony is going to be DMing for us for the whole bit. He does enough voices that he's allowed to do whatever.
I will be I will be your guys' DM, GM, or as they call it in Call of Cthulhu, your keeper. I'll be your keeper for this evening. Dave, let's start with you. Who's your character? Who is you? Who is you, Dave?
Joe Wheatley is a we'll just say he's an outdoorsman, originally hailing from Colorado. He has a little bit of a rocky past. When I say rocky, I mean just when I say rocky, I don't mean like he has criminal background. It just means that layered with misfortune. His father died in a mine collapse at an early age. And
Dave, I'm gonna pause you here. I don't think we should I think our backstory should come out in the story, not in the down.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I think what we're doing here is we're kind of calling out how our characters will generally behave. Like what kind of skills are they good at? What are they bad at? And yeah, like saying I come from Colorado is fine. That's a really like broad stance sort of thing. I've been in Boston and picked up an accent. That's the sort of stuff. And of course, all of this will get ironed out. But
okay, continue. Yeah. So Joe's from Colorado. He's worked outside a lot. Got drafted into the First World War, so he's got a little bit of skills with fighting and the rifle. But he's not a smart guy, but he is a little bit of an intelligent guy, and he's really good at observing stuff. And he's been in Massachusetts long enough that he's picked up a bit of an accent, trying to blend into the locals. Still fails sometimes, but for the most part, he just works odd jobs just to make the ends meet. And
what was your guy's
doing
name?
That, he's Joe Wheatley. So in doing that, he's picked up a lot of different skills.
Okay. I will be playing Benjamin Harris, who he's a private investigator. Pretty standard, honestly, for whatever stereotype you might have in your head. Probably got a little bit of that going on for him. He's a pretty good and hard-working person. He's pretty good at driving cars or piloting aircraft. He's not bad with various weapons, and he certainly isn't all that bad in a fight either. He's served in the military too, though not his capacity was that of an MP, so it wasn't like he was on the front lines or anything. But he is pretty good at the general private investigator things. He's good at hiding. He's good at talking to people, and he's good at a fight if it really comes down to it. But moreover, he can get where he needs to be. So that's why he's got aircraft and drive auto stuff going on for him. Also, he's got himself a nice little car. Tony, what the hell did we decide on was okay for him to have as a car? Is that Nesh or something?
Oh no. I had, like a something Nash.
Nash Touring. That's it. Yeah, he's got a
Nash Touring. Yeah, Nash Touring car.
He's got a Nash Touring that he's gotten. It's used. It's a used Nash Touring.
Heavily used.
But it functions, and I think that's what's important. I don't think either of us have magic ability, so it's going to be a pretty grounded game. A lot of investigation.
So now that we are all introduced and you guys have an idea of what to expect from this game, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this first episode. I think it'll be a good thing. I think everybody should probably expect this to be a bit of a setup, with some of the exciting stuff coming later.
All right.
But yeah, let's do a thing. These sorts of episodes have to happen in order for any story to be worthwhile. I'm excited. Tony, you wrote something down?
Yeah. Arkham, Massachusetts, home to the prestigious Miskatonic University, and also home to one Blair Fitzgerald Backstrom, a professor of anthropology and archaeology. Blair has conducted many expeditions from North Africa to China, Spain, and most recently to Central South America. On this most recent expedition, Blair had returned home changed and unfamiliar to his friends and family. As he returned to the estate, people said that he was raving mad, firing his entire staff and becoming a recluse for several days. The last time anyone had ever seen him, he was heading down the Miskatonic River on a tugboat wreathed in an unnatural light. His only living relatives, Adam Backstrom and Thomas and Liza Grand, began to ask questions into his disappearance. Adam more so than Thomas and Liza. After 2 weeks had passed, the Grands had declared their uncle deceased and to immediately seize all of his assets. Adam, not wanting to have his uncle's reputation and all of his hard work tarnished by these vultures of cousins, immediately began a legal proceeding to halt his cousin's activity. But due to his degrading health, he knew that all they had to do was outwait him and just wait for him to die. So, out of desperation, Adam wrote a letter and sent it to one Benjamin Harris, in the hopes that maybe he could find his uncle and put an end to all of this madness. Benjamin, you are sitting alone in your office, which also doubles as your room. The apartment on the north end, overlooking the street down below. You can hear cars driving by, the honking of the horns from Model Ts, the chiming of bells as some people go by on bicycles. Currently, you're looking over the previous case that you just had as you tuck it away in a folder and then put it away in your filing cabinet. You hear a knock at the door. The slit that you have for mail, you see a single letter pops through and somewhat glides towards your desk before it comes to a stop. On the letter, you can see a wax stamp on it, and inside, and on the wax stamp is printed the letter B. There doesn't seem to be any return address on it that you can see. You lean over and you pick it up, and if you want to go to your handouts, it is letter from Adam Backstrom.
Greetings, Mr. Harris. My name is Adam Backstrom, and I sent you this letter in hopes that I may acquire your services for a matter most dire. My uncle, Blair F. Backstrom, has gone missing. I am not sure if you have already read about my uncle's disappearances in the paper, but I assure you, my uncle would not do such a thing willingly. As I understand it, you have a talent for finding lost people. The police have given up on trying to locate my uncle and are of no more help. There is much to discuss that I would rather not detail in this letter. If you are willing to take on this task, meet me at my residence at 32 West Miskatonic Avenue in Uptown Arkham. Please present this letter to my nurse, Miss Victoza. Sincerely, Adam Backstrom.
You've heard the name Backstrom before, mostly in papers, detailing Blair, his endeavors and his excavations from North Africa to Spain, all the way over into China, and his discoveries and lost artifacts being brought back, housed at Miskatonic University, and also some items appearing in the Boston Museum. He's quite famous in some certain circles. You've never really had to deal with a client of this, let's just say, prestige. Magnitude, prestige, however you want to put it. This is the first time you've ever been called on to do something more than what you're used to doing. The last case you're working on, finding one Miss Darling who had been supposedly kidnapped but actually ran away with a lost lover. In that case, a certain name comes to mind who was invaluable in helping. Joe Wheatley. Joe, you're waking up from your halfway house in Riverside Town, the light shining through the blinds in the window and hitting your eyes and cracking them open for you. You have another job down somewhere in the docks, unloading and loading cargo into the tugboats that run down the Miskatonic River and deliver them further south to Boston. Not really exciting work, but it pays somewhat moderately well, puts food in your belly. You hear a knock at the door.
Who is it?
As you get up and you answer the door, you open it to see a one Benjamin Harris. You remember Benjamin Harris? You've worked with him before on a case for a Miss Darling. He's holding a letter in his hand.
How's it going, Benjamin?
He said I could call on you if I ever needed your help. This seems like a good time as any to call on your help.
Well, if the job pays well.
Potentially. The letter's quite mysterious, and the last time one of these things happened, well, things went unexpectedly.
Okay.
I can promise you some compensation.
More compensation than the dock work?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You ever heard of the name Backstrom?
I'm a little familiar with him. The archaeologist guy, right?
Yeah, well, went missing. This has caused concern with his nephew. And, well, I'm about to take a case.
Okay. Yep, now it's better than breaking my back, so yeah, I guess I'll help you out.
Excellent. The address is 32 West Miskatonic Avenue in Uptown Arkham. Can you remember that?
32 West Uptown Arkham. I gotta get some pants on. I'll meet you outside in just a sec.
All right, I'll be by my car.
Joe, you hear Benjamin walk down the hallway and going down the steps of the halfway house. You get up, put on your pants, put on a somewhat decently nice shirt, since you are meeting someone who's supposedly quite wealthy, perhaps. Try to get on your best outfit that you have that you usually do for job interviews. Look yourself in the face, kind of part your hair, comb your hair, make yourself as presentable as possible. Splash whatever little cologne that you have, and head downstairs and meet up with Benjamin. He's waiting in his car. Joe, you come downstairs outside of the halfway house and you see Benjamin with his, you can say probably third or fourth hand Nash Touring. As he opens up, as he's sitting in the driver's seat, he leans over and clicks open the passenger side doors, and you hop in. And just as you guys are heading down from Riverside over to Uptown, slight rain starts to kick up. It's very minor and starts to trickle down, making the roads just a bit slick. And as you continue to drive, you pull up. You see the address plate right in front of the house, 32 West Miskatonic Avenue. You park right outside the house, somewhat not as kept as the other two houses on either side of it, as this one's smack dab in the middle of two other houses. Also not as well kept as the other houses across the street. You can see that the garden is in somewhat of disrepair, dead grass, dying flowers, untrimmed hedges, and there's a mailbox that's down the walkway of the house, which you look into, has a few letters that are put in there, but it does seem to be a bit full. And you put the car in park and you get out of the car.
I don't seem to be checking their mail. This could be a larger problem, but wait here for a moment, Joe. I'm gonna go greet our client. Make sure that it's all right that I've brought along some help for this potential issue, but I wouldn't want them to panic in the meantime.
Okie dokie.
I go up to the house and I knock on the door.
You walk up to the door and you knock on the oak door. You can see that it has stained glass some built into the door, so you can kind of see into it, but not really that great. You see a figure, very wiggly, almost like looking through a funhouse mirror, passes by the stained glass on the door and opens it up. You see a woman, brown hair, appears to be wearing a nurse's uniform. She looks at you. Yes, can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. You must be Miss Victoza, is that correct?
Victoza.
Yes.
Are you Mr. Harris?
I am indeed.
Do you happen to have the letter?
Yeah, I reach under my coat pocket and give it to her.
She looks at it. Oh, please come in if you wouldn't mind waiting in the entrance hall. Dr. Turnbaum is just finishing up with Adam.
Okay, as you wish, ma'am. And I enter in the house, take off my hat. Is there like a coat rack or something I can?
Yeah, there's a coat rack near the door.
I take off my hat and
you can see that there's there's one other hat and coat hung up there.
Yes, I utilize that coat rack for hat and coat for the moment.
She says, just wait here. The doctor's almost finished with Adam. And she goes and she walks back, kind of down the hall and then to the right. And looking around, you see ahead of you where that cross section is. There's a shelf with a small collection of what look like antiquities, as well as a picture of Adam with Blair, and they look like they're standing in front of some pyramids. And there's one grandfather clock in the corner. You can hear it slowly ticking. You look at the time. Almost 11 o'clock in the morning. You can hear down the right end quarter, you can hear what sounds like this noise.
I'm sorry, this is what now? This is what's happening?
So you hear...
This is around the corner?
In the distance around the corner out to the right, you hear this...
I do go and investigate that. I'm sorry, but that sounds troubling.
So you walk out and you peer around the corner and you see what looks like to be a study room. Down the hall you see Miss Victoza holding the head back of Adam Backstrom, his mouth open, and you can see an older gentleman who you're assuming is Turnbaum, glasses fixed and pinched in at the very bridge of his nose, white hair, very big mustache. You can see he appears to be putting some kind of tube down into Adam's mouth, and then once he has it in there, he sucks on the other end, almost like siphoning gas out of a gas tank, and you see this whitish kind of mucousy liquid rushing up this translucent tube, which is then dispensed into this mason jar. And then it fills up maybe about a quarter of the way before he removes the tube out of Adam's mouth, which Adam then begins to start coughing.
I stand there for a moment, just generally concerned.
You've never seen something like this before. He packs up his doctor's bag, and he puts away the tube and the mason jar in his bag, he pulls out another vial, and he pulls out a syringe, and he puts the syringe in the vial and pulls it up into the syringe and gets this rubber tubing, ties it off on Adam's arm as he rolls up the sleeve and injects him with it. And you can see...
Is there some, like, oh gosh, I have 1 in medicine. There's no way I'm going to be able to tell what is happening.
Then you are a little far away, and the bottle is very small. So it's kind of hard to read what that is.
Well, just everything that's happening. You said a white substance came out of this guy's gut?
Yeah, we put it in a tube and down to his mouth, and he pretty much like siphoned out what looked like this white, thick, mucusy substance out of his body.
We are playing Cthulhu. This sounds like some soul fuckery, but all right.
Yeah. And as he injects
so he's gonna give him a shot of something, huh?
Yeah, and as he gives him this shot, you see he removes the tube, and then Adam's tense body then relaxes somewhat slightly.
I suppose I approach. Normally you relax the patient before you cause invasive procedures, Doctor, but far be it from me to tell you how to do your job.
He starts to put his things away, and he gets up, and he says, "Unfortunately, young Backstrom's position is somewhat sensitive. Moving him to a normal hospital, that procedure might actually kill this poor young man. So, we are relegated to doing it inside the comfort of his home. You must be that Harris fellow he hired. Isaac Turnbaum," and he holds out his hand to shake yours.
Benjamin Harris. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. I'm certain that you think that all of this is a bit strange. I don't know if you saw any of the procedures?
I did indeed see the procedure. Nothing like it's ever been mentioned in any textbook I've ever read.
A lot of the things that we have to do with young Adam here is not exactly textbook. You can see that Adam is seated down in a wheelchair. His back alignment seems to be crooked and off to the left. You can see his fingers seem to be swollen with what looks like arthritis and then bending in different ways, kind of crisscrossing over each other. His right side of his face is drooped down somewhat slightly, almost like he had a stroke. And under the blanket that's covering his legs, you can tell that his thighs seem somewhat bowed in towards each other, where his shins are bowed outward from each other. And you can hear his breathing, which is somewhat raspy and belabored.
I gestured towards the door so that it's like, walk with me, right? And I imagine if he follows, we walk towards the door. Doctor.
Turnbaum follows you and is holding his bag in one hand as he follows you out.
Well, Doctor, if I'm to do my job appropriately, I'm going to need all the information I can get. I would hope that you would enlighten me as to his condition.
I wish I could, but whatever it is, it's a strange degenerative disease that we have no name for as of yet. We first thought it was polio, but it is progressing not along the same lines as that. We don't know what it is.
And this white fluid, this mucus that you had extracted from him.
It is some kind of discharge that, isn't being discharged, but rather put into his lungs. So every now and again I have to extract that liquid.
Like pneumonia?
Almost like pneumonia.
But not that,
He has too many... Yes, but not that. He has too many symptoms from different diseases, different ailments. We believe it is maybe some kind of... First we thought it was maybe some kind of parasite that he picked up when he was traveling with his uncle. But we found no sign of it. No sign of whatever it could be. And whatever it is, his uncle did not contract it. It's hard to say.
So you're not entirely sure where he may have picked this up, then?
But at least the most we can do is, he reaches in and pulls out the vial and he shows it to you. And looks like it's pure opium extract. Ease his suffering a little. We have no cure for it. I'd say he won't last the year.
Thank you, Doctor. I will begin my investigation with Mr. Backstrom.
If you have any questions, I'm up at Arkham General.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Turnbull.
Yes. He grabs his hat and coat and he tucks his coat underneath his arm and puts his hat on top of his head as he opens the door and leaves.
I turn back around and go back around to meet the nurse and Adam.
You can still hear Adam's labored breath. Miss Victoza says, please sit down. There's much that we have to talk about. Adam would like to try to talk to you personally about as much as his body will let him. But other than that, you'll probably mostly be talking to me. It was actually, I'm the one who actually wrote the letter as per Adam's instruction.
Understood. I take a seat. Is it all right if I hold up like a lighter and a cigarette?
You see Victoza's face grow somewhat concerned, and she kind of shakes her head no.
Yes, of course. Well, Mr. Backstrom, Adam, my name is Benjamin Harris. I am here as per the letter that you have dictated to your wonderful nurse here. Tell me, you are missing your uncle, is that correct?
Adam begins to talk. It's raspy, and it's unpleasant to listen to. He says, "Yes, my uncle, he went, he's been missing for about 2 weeks now, and it's very much not like him to be doing something like this. He's not himself. My cousins, Liza and Thomas Grand, have been wanting to declare him deceased ever since he went missing. And about 2 days ago, we actually had a break-in. They've never liked my uncle. They've, always lived outside of their means. And they would always constantly write him and ask him for money.
Is there perhaps any reason that they would want to do this? Is there a will or something left to them should he otherwise pass or go missing?
Well, myself, Liza, and Thomas are the only living relatives my uncle has. There is a will, although no one has been able to find it. But they've always lived outside of their means. They've asked my uncle for money on numerous occasions.
Well, your concern is with your uncle, and he's gone missing. Where was the last place anyone saw him?
Yes. Yeah, it was said that he was seen on a tugboat, headed down the Miskatonic.
Any idea who owned the tugboat or the company or anything like that?
At this point, you can see that Adam looks like he needs a moment to get his strength back to keep talking. So, Miss Victoza interjects. No one saw the name of the tugboat, no one saw the owner, but they said that they saw Blair standing in some kind of strange light or something.
Strange light?
Yes. And also, and she reaches over and grabs a box. She opens it up and you see some burned letters in there. We actually had a break-in a couple of days ago, and I caught the perpetrator. I didn't see who it was. He was wearing a mask. But he was rummaging through Adam's private desk, and he was burning all the letters that his uncle had ever written him. And these were the only two I was able to save out of the pile that he was burning. She hands you them.
I look at the 2 letters, and I begin reading them as best I can.
It's somewhat fairly destroyed. There's some bits and pieces missing, but it looks like she got to it in time that it's mostly legible.
To my dear nephew, I have been giving it some thought since I began this expedition, and I will not be around forever. I can feel my joints disagreeing with me as we hike up these treacherous passes, so before I venture off, I wanted to rewrite my will. I hid it in a place that only I think you might be able to find. Do you remember that old butler's desk I kept in my private study? Well, I thought I might give it to you. I might give you one last bit of fun once I leave. There's a special lock of my own design, a modified type of combination lock. Adam, in this will, I bequeath everything to you. Do with it as you see fit. You are far more deserving of it than any other person I know. I know what my doctors say about your condition. To hell with that. I'll be sure that those parasites never see a damn cent of my fortune. I am also sending you an amulet of some kind. Its inscription reads, "May the evils of this world never seize you." Perhaps it will bring you good fortune. Sincerely, Blair F. Backstrom.
I believe that this was the letter maybe he was searching for, but I don't know what Blair meant by amulet. We never received an amulet when that letter came in.
This other one appears to just be sort of personal effects. South America he traveled to?
Yes, he was, I believe it was Incan, Mayan, one of those kinds of ruins.
So, we have a eccentric, I'm guessing multimillionaire, who liked to travel to South America, contracted some sort of disease, maybe?
Maybe. We don't know what caused him to do what he did. I mean, he got back home. He didn't even stop to say hello to Adam, which he always usually does when he gets back from his trips. And he just fired all of his staff at his estate.
That's
Every
odd.
single one of them. And then, and then he was locked away for some time. And then next thing we knew, he was on a tugboat and he was gone.
This seems particularly odd that somebody would want to do anything of that nature, to go back down to South America right before firing everybody. Especially since there's no conflict of interest. But he did seem to know that he was not going to return, which is why otherwise he would not have left everything to his nephew.
But the thing is, we don't know where he went. He might have gone back to his expedition or his dig site, but, I mean, he's just left.
This combination lock, has Adam been able to breach it?
No, we haven't even been able to get into Backstrom's estate. I mean, Adam can't travel. I think his uncle maybe was thinking too highly of, or less of, what Adam's condition actually is. But we haven't been able to even get up to the estate.
Do you have an address? Perhaps I can investigate that.
Yes, he lived up in Northside, right in front of Potter's Field. I believe it's West Drury Street, North 39.
North 39, West Drury Street. All right. I'll go there. Check out his mansion. Is there perhaps a key? His estate?
There was one in Adam's desk, but I believe the thief took that.
So a thief burned a whole bunch of letters and took a key to Adam's uncle's estate.
I don't know if he knew what it was for, but he took it.
Well, in any case, that's my next lead. Before I go, do you have the addresses of perhaps his 2 cousins?
Yes, they live in downtown, right across from Independence Square. It is 23 North Peabody Avenue.
23 North Peabody Avenue. All right, understood. They both live at the same place?
Yes.
I believe I have my leads. Is there any other information you'd care to divulge before I dismiss myself?
You see Adam very weakly lift up a hand and place it on Victoza's arm, and you hear him kind of very weakly give out, "Dr. Arnold." Oh, right. Yes, actually, you know what? Actually, around the same time we got that letter from his uncle, I noticed that Professor Arnold was actually hanging out outside of our home. He's something of a rival professor to Blair over at the university. They've never seen eye to eye, kind of butted heads a lot.
Dr. Arnold, I imagine you probably don't have his address, but I can probably investigate at the university if need be.
Yes. I think he taught in the same building as Blair.
Okay.
So, Joe?
Yes.
As you're sitting in the passenger seat of the car and looking around and kind of gazing at the neighborhood that is too nice for you to afford, but you've been here before kind of as a gardener. The rain slowly starting to come down a little bit heavier, hitting the top of the car, making that pitter-patter noise. You just kind of looking around, seeing what's going on. No one's really out and about, except for the neighbor across the street, and he just seems to be tending his garden. Joe, make a spot hidden for me.
Give me half a sec. Figuring out roll 20. Spot hidden, you say?
You see maybe about 20 feet outside of Adam's home, looking up, and at the door is a singular rat, kind of cheated out away from you and looking at the door. And it's just sitting there up on its hind legs and staring at the home. And you know, you've been around animals, you're an outdoorsman, you know how generally animals act. This is a little weird.
I don't think I've ever seen a rat do that before. Is there anything off about the rat, or is it just like a normal rat as far as I can tell?
Do a natural world roll.
Did that work?
Yeah, that one worked. The first one was a failure.
Oh.
So, due to the rain and what is kind of coming out of what looks like near a sewer grate, this kind of fog that's pouring up and out of it, it's making it a little obscure to see the rat. The longer you sit there, the more the rat becomes obscured and hard to see. If you wanted to get a better look out of it, you'd have to get out of the car.
I mean, Ben told me to stay in the car, and I don't want to get questioned by anybody in this nice area. So I'm just gonna stay in the car.
So Joe, you elect to stay in the car, and as you watch the rat, still on its hind legs, very slowly being covered up and blanketed by this fog that's rolling up out of the sewer grate, you can see its silhouette turn around and goes off in the other direction as Ben comes out of the house.
Has the rain picked up?
Yeah, the rain has picked up. It's not like hard downpour, but it's more than a drizzle, less than a downpour, normal, I guess.
Okay.
That medium rain, that good medium-sized rain, you know? And you see it disappear into that sewer fog that's coming out, just as Ben is coming out of the house. Miss Victoza is showing you the way out, and as you're leaving Ben, she says, "Please, just find Blair for Adam's sake."
Well, Miss Victoza, if he did go down to South America, then it might be a little bit out of my jurisdiction, but I assure you, I'll get to the bottom of what we can here, at least in the local area. Unless there's some good pay going to South America.
Speaking of pay, I almost forgot yours. And she pulls out a small envelope and she puts it in your hand. And as you look inside, it's $50.
Yeah, I look at it and tip my hat. Thank you, Miss Victoza.
Yes.
I will find whatever I can and report back to you guys as soon as possible.
Thank you. She closes the door behind you as you walk back down the walkway, the rain hitting your hat and slowly pouring off of the brim and onto your shoulder.
Give it a little bit of a jog back, like, oh, this rain's getting hard. I get back in the car, and I start flipping through notes. Well, Joe, thanks for coming along. This might be a little bit more of a down and dirty case than I expected.
Right. Ben, did you get us a retainer?
I got us a few bucks. I hand him $20.
Well, this is already more than I'd make at the docks, so thanks, man.
Yeah. So, I've gone over a number of these notes here, and I think I know where to start.
All right, I'll let you drive.
Going to Northtown. Number of leads here, but I think I got the best one. Joe? We're gonna check out the Backstrom estate.